Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Ted, hanging out with some of my esteemed colleagues.
Dave.
Ryan.
Nate.
And today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons Monsters, the Bullywug. And we had a viewer request from Raymond Greg about a port city being stuck between two rival factions of Bullywugs.
Right? I've been in love with Bullywugs ever since the 80s when they did the Dungeons & Dragons cartoon and they showed up and they harassed the kids.
Love it first croak, as it were.
It was. I don't even remember anything other than there were Bullywugs and it was so freaking cool.
I don't know. I've always just kind of looked at them as just a lame monster. I've always
That's
just kind of
because
your
D&D monster palette is lame.
You're under
GM Juice was talking about using Bullywugs in his game, and I think he wanted to take the PCs prisoner. I'm like, dude, you got to have giant frogs eat them, and then have the giant frogs throw them up in front of the Bullywug King. That would be freaking amazing. And he did. And it was amazing.
And they can speak with frogs and toads, so it's perfectly appropriate.
Oh, yeah.
Frog to,
dude, if you're a Bullywug, you want to be mounted on a battle toad.
Yeah, battle toads.
Battle toads.
Which was totally a video game.
I have to say that they've given the Bullywugs in this edition a little bit more like culture and stuff to work with.
Dude, they're badasses. They will whoop your ass faster than a goblin.
And they're definitely
they got leap attacks. They're like kung fu ninja.
And plus, they can
Yeah.
if you're in their turf, man, they can go amphibious on your ass, and you'll have no idea. They're like
Navy SEAL ninjas.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, they leap up from the
without
depths,
the
30
stats or
stories
training
high.
to back it up.
Yeah.
And they got frogs. They got toads. They got alligators and crocodilators. They got all kinds of crazy stuff going on.
Yes, I would say for Raymond's answer, you have these two factions, port city, swamp area all around. So they've never been able to extract the Bullywugs out of this area. So they've always been an issue, and they always have like a large ranging kingdom on the other side of these Bullywugs.
And they always harass them because Bullywugs. What do Bullywugs have to do to advance within their culture, Nate?
Oh, to advance in their culture, they tend to have to either murder a rival secretly, because if you murder them and it's not secret, you usually get executed. So it is against the law to murder your rivals, but it's not
openly.
If you don't get caught, then it doesn't count. So you can advance by getting rid of your competition, or you can give your boss.
My favorite way,
yeah,
by bribing the king.
Yeah, you bribe
them a nice bauble.
your higher ups. And you give them something, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're cooler than you were before."
All of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too about Bullywugs. They're swamp dwellers. Making your adventurers go into the swamp is amazing anyway. Aside from all the disgusting, icky things, like they're constantly going to be getting wet. They're constantly going to be have mud on them. They got mosquitoes.
Of unusual size.
You can always use a whole bunch of poisonous snakes with all these different kinds of poisons. So
there's mosquitoes all over the place. I haven't even gotten into monsters yet. Yeah. You got mosquitoes. You're hot. It's gross.
Diseases.
Yeah, it's an incubation place.
Heavy armor is probably going to adversely affect you because it's hot and wet and just grody.
Definitely, quicksand and stuff like that.
Or quicksand-like effects.
You're going to constantly have, tripping over roots and stuff that you can't see. And then you start getting into nature without even being monsters. You do have like alligators and alligator snapping turtles and poisonous snakes, and I guess you could even do like other poisonous reptiles like frogs and stuff.
And the Bullywugs are going to have the advantage that they can swim, and their kingdom area, their wherever their tribe or whatever their group is at, doesn't have to be accessible by land.
No.
And it could be even where it's just a giant mound that's hollowed out that you have to swim under to get into.
Or like a subterranean cave complex.
Some kind of cave complex that's partially submerged. So you might have difficulty just finding one of them, let alone actually getting rid of them. So
and that's probably why they can't root them out. That's why these factions are still there.
So there's going to be constant harassment by both factions trying to get whatever they can off of anyone that ventures too far from home.
And here's the thing: like, there's two reasons for those warring factions to try and raid and pillage the city and the towns, is because one, it'll help them raise their status in their own tribe. but two, then it could also help them get the advantage over the other
faction,
tribe.
right.
If
And
they
then,
find some good stuff.
right, and then you had off camera had talked about an interesting concept as well.
Right, since you got the two factions there, and since they're kind of little sneaky, like, or big sneaky,
Backbiting,
if you
will.
little jerks, that like if they think they could get further ahead in the other tribe, presenting stuff to their leader, and like can
and
I
how
get to
would
a
a
higher
frog-like
position?
creature get ahead of someone else in their society?
By leapfrogging, of course. Right. So yeah, if they feel like they can move up like by 2 or 3 notches in the other society, so you might have this thing where like there's actually been interbreeding between the two, because some of them end up on this side of the tribal split, some of them end up on this other side of the tribal split.
The dual agent who does that, but he's working both sides.
Yeah, you can definitely see that.
Yeah.
And also too, I could definitely see them capturing children and females in their raids. So that's another reason why, like, it's probably really hard to distinguish one tribe from the other at this point. And maybe the ones that do end up being kings are actually the ones who you can tell, they're actually from this tribe originally. And one of the problems, and it's kind of a long-term problem that short-sighted Bullywugs probably wouldn't even think about, is they're actually breeding their tribe out of existence.
Right. Well, and also too, like, what if somebody has like a greater taste for vengeance to somebody in their tribe than even their allegiance to the tribe? Like, if they're embarrassed in some terrible way, they'll actually inform the town against the tribe, like, hey, because they know it'll take out the rival.
Yeah. Hey, they're planning a raid.
Yeah. So you put them in a bad position.
Who's this? Anonymous croak. Anonymous croak.
Yeah.
Are you a Bullywug?
No. Croak. Hang on the phone, or put your cowl deeper. Yeah.
Yes, your cowl that's this
Yeah.
wide.
I'm an ugly dwarf. Leave me alone.
Yeah, man, fly is bad. Yeah.
Did you eat that fly? No.
Or I mean,
smack it away.
Or I mean, because they are so backbiting, you could find some that are like so predisposed to like accumulating personal wealth and status that like they go outside of the tribal structure because they know it's so hard to get ahead there, and they might they're gonna do it from the city. They become like try to become a criminal lord or something like that. Like like
Bullywug crime lord.
Yeah, like maybe
Well, that would be fun.
they start a
Yeah.
thieves guild. Like maybe there's one that started a thieves guild, and or like one that's got like he tries to be like the pompous like noble. Like so you have like a little Toad Hollow, like Mr. Toad type of thing. Like you have one that's like a Bullywug like bard or something.
He tries to act like humans.
Yeah. Like him, like he's like, I'm going to do this legitimately ish.
Legitimately,
Yeah. So there's just some potential spins on that and ideas for humor.
Yeah, definitely role playing encounters with the Mr.
Toad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only that too, like you could definitely build adventures around or adventure encounters around the fact of having to like go before the Bullywug King and maybe ask his permission to go through his swamp, because
groveling, like you have to role play like out like dealing with this guy because the numbers are so out of your favor.
Or maybe they have knowledge that you need, and because it's intimate to the swamp, you're not going to get the information any other way but by dealing with them.
Yeah, I was also thinking too, like estates that are in ruin, like noble estates because it's in the swamp. Maybe like like Castle Anthrax or whatever, that swamp was something that was sunk into the swamp. Like you have noble estates that like where they built the grounds wasn't all that great, and like some Bullywugs like factions took over. And like they're really doing like the pompous noble thing like to the nines in there.
They're trying to simulate pseudo-human civilization.
Heck, they live in a castle.
Yeah.
And then I mean, I kind of feel like if we're going to talk about Bullywugs, and of course, they got giant frogs and toads, which is awesome because I think the battle toad is hilarious. Anyway,
it's quite riveting.
Yeah.
If you will. Yeah.
Well, but it does offer some really interesting combat challenges as well. They're battlefield controllers. A toad or a frog with the tongue grab is a factor.
Absolutely.
Oh, and you absolutely have room for like Bullywug druids because they're naturally biased towards neutral evil. Well, actually, did they get rid of the alignment thing for druids too? About being neutral. But I mean, like they're like the conventional. They could be a swamp druid.
They would make good swamp druids.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe not so much good swamp wizards, but swamp druids for
Druid's
sure.
fantastic. Yeah.
And then you could also do things with lizard men as well.
Yeah, to have a little bit of another faction in the mix.
Yeah, if you wanted to
Yeah.
do that, or just if you wanted to spice up the encounter, maybe they hire lizard men mercenaries.
Right.
Troglodytes. Those are
They're more underground, I think.
yeah.
I don't think they're.
They look kind of like froggy people. That's why I just made me think that they
Yeah,
were in a swamp.
but they're more subterranean, and I don't really
Less
like
wet.
I don't like troglodytes that much.
They
don't do it for
stench,
me.
The stench is a dead giveaway.
Yeah, they smell bad.
Yeah, they do smell bad.
They're not sneaky.
Although, I mean, they could like. I don't know if they tend to keep slaves, but you could they could be shock troops because they know that humans are gonna have such a hard time with this that they herd them in toward the foe. Say they attack in the cover of night.
Yeah,
It's like living stink bombs that can kill you.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that would be good if they could find some troglodytes in some subterranean areas, near the swamp. Although I think the problem with that is they get flooded with water,
Mm-hmm.
so they don't really make a good mix.
Yeah, true.
So maybe we won't be using troglodyte stink bombs from the Bullywugs. Although we can use it for something else.
That's true.
We could have used it for our dark elves, except for we took them from an underdark.
Oh, we did oust them, but you know what that leaves room for possibly in the subterranean lizard folk or Bullywugs.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Why not have a subterranean, not necessarily swamp, but you could definitely do lakes and oceans, and you could then also do, the mushroom forest around it and stuff. It would be interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not all amphibious creatures live in the water. Even. Well, I mean, there's toads, which are different from frogs. So they
But
could
they're
be,
not amphibious.
they could be more toad flavored than.
Well, yeah, you could take their amphibious away and give them burrowing or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, this or that.
Toadwogs.
Yeah, toadywogs.
Toadywogs. I don't know.
So you could
Bully
have,
toads.
Yeah.
I like bully toads.
Yeah.
Bully toads.
Yeah. But and you could have those be more pale because they're subterranean. Underground.
Bully toads.
Yeah.
Oh, they look like toads in color, and they are more pale. They're gray.
Yeah.
That'd be it.
There's also the albino
Yeah, I was going to think we
toads.
go more that direction.
Yeah. So the
I don't have
the guy could use Bullywugs as well as this other variant species that might be less amphibious but are still kind of toad-like. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, well, that would be switching to either a third faction or a fourth faction. But by the time we're done with this video, there's no way this town should still be standing.
Covered in Bullywugs.
It's covered in
must have the best walls ever.
Three different varieties of Bullywug plus the lizard folk, and those walls aren't even going to help when our forest tree frog Bullywugs can just walk right up the walls.
Well, I mean, but the fact that they have the problem with most unintelligent, evil humanoids is that they're so backbiting to themselves that they control their own population because they can never breed en masse because they're always taking one
It's
another
like
out.
why goblins don't take over the world.
Well, they do breed en masse, but they
eat some of their young.
they control the population at the same time.
Well, and also too, sometimes the best and the brightest Bullywug could be taken out by a scheme. So it's oh well, this guy managed to get the better of this other guy, but he's not anywhere near as competent.
Yeah.
So it's just dumb luck if somebody's always out to get you.
So there's always that. So so I think we've thoroughly covered Raymond's angle of how to use Bullywugs. But what about in our own games? What about how do we spin a Bullywug? Again, we talked about the Bullywug infiltrating, wanting to live like humans and start a thieves guild.
For starters, there's an article that Nigel did that actually had Bullywugs for a PC.
Yeah, he did.
So you can totally say what?
Battletoads.
Go ahead and try and run it in your game. But we could totally carve out an area that they're staking their claim. I actually like the idea of some noble who built a castle on the swamp, and that wasn't such a good idea.
It sunk. Yeah.
A noble that was dumber than the Bullywugs.
Yeah. Or the land could have changed and got
fourth one stayed
waterlogged
up.
over centuries, and that's why it could have been stable, and then the region kind of just got waterlogged.
A shift in the river.
I blame dire beavers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all
Yes.
I like the druid is an interesting idea. Maybe not, maybe even outside the travel aspect. Maybe the lone druid, Bullywug. He could be a peaceful encounter for the NPCs. It could be actually during an adventure that takes place in the swamp. It could actually be a place where they could actually
safe haven.
Yeah. Where a waypoint from to hang out, and then get some rolling play out of it. Maybe they get healed up. Who knows? If they do something, maybe it could be a side quest. They do something to help the druid.
Yeah.
So there's different angles with that you could go with.
Of course, you could totally be the come, have a safe haven, evil druid.
Yeah.
Well, you could do that as well.
Oh, you could have
you get the role playing, you get the this is and the that's is, and then slay.
You could have this vast thing of sort of uber lily pads that they live on, like a rustic city on or a city on stilts. You could do too. I mean, or a town, more of a town.
Yeah.
A town on stilts or a town of these lily pad formations. Maybe they have these crude structures that are built, maybe mud huts. So basically they would be like the redwoods of lily pads because very sturdy, very strong. So yeah, you could have
or in a campaign where you wanted to keep kind of escalating the threat. If like Raymond has a port city near a swamp,
Bullywug pirates.
You could do Bullywug pirates, but I was thinking,
yeah.
The first or the early levels they have to deal with Bullywugs, and then you could escalate it up to lizard men.
Yeah.
And then you could just keep going.
All right, dude. But I'm just seeing this in my head. You could either do the sort of the river skiff people, or they actually get a hold of a ship and they start raiding because they're amphibious, so they don't really care about being in the water. But it could be they could do the thing where it's the ship that's just floating out to sea, and people they put the distress flag up. People come and then they just descend on them because they're all actually in the water and they go running up the sides.
Then they bullywug them.
Yeah, or they just they capture
Bullywug.
or yeah exactly, or they capture boats and they just ram them into the port and then just erupt into the city and start raiding hardcore.
Yeah, actually that would be a good tactic. Yeah,
coastal cities they run the ship basically aground as hard as they can. Maybe they capture slaves and they're paddling as hard, make them paddle as hard as they possibly can, even to exhaustion and death, to just ram the ship as hard as they can into the main port and then just start pouring out. So it's almost like the undead in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, the first one, when they're that level of pandemonium.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was pretty cool. And then I also had the idea for my other campaign world of swamp dwelling gnomes, bayou gnomes basically.
Yeah.
Gnome barbarians, and they're often coming into conflict with the Bullywugs, and they don't really see much difference between eating a frog and eating a Bullywug, frog legs.
So we have evil gnome swamp barbarians.
Right. Well, they're neutral.
No, they're evil. Anything that eats another sentient race is evil.
They're like.
Wait a minute. No, they're evil. They're absolutely evil.
They're like frog. This thing's a big frog
that talks. It says, "No, don't eat me."
It's like a talking cow.
Anything that can ask you not to eat you in your language.
We had this conversation in the game the other day.
Yeah.
Talking cows, I would totally make hamburger.
Yeah. Right. They're chaotic neutral is what I was going with for that. Just all right. We eat this. Why not eat? That's a lot more right there. That's a lot more food.
Look at those
legs. If we were eating Nate versus eating Ted, if we had to choose, we would want to.
I'm pretty sure that would make us evil.
Yeah.
I would say definitely.
Definitely evil.
Definitely evil.
We're on the receiving end. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I guess we should wrap it up on evil swamp gnome barbarians.
So if Nate's not here, he totally went on vacation, and we totally did not eat him.
And we have no idea where he is.
No.
Absolutely. Yeah. So with that, you guys can like, comment, share, and even subscribe.
Or even eat Nate, or hang out with us on Facebook.
You can check us out on Twitter.
You can join the conversation on Reddit.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.
You cannibals.